Welcome to the Three Grandmas podcast. We are doing another scene from the movie we discuss. Commandos approach resident attempt to unlock the door.
Shut your mouth and move.
What the fuck is going on? I have to get upstairs.
I don't give a shit where you need to go.
I have a sick wife alone up there. She needs her medication. I'm sorry.
Smash! Are you deaf? One more fucking step and I'll end you.
Rama gets in between them.
What the fuck?
That's enough. Sergeant
Drop
Jocko
it.
from off screen.
Drop it. You want to play hero? Go ahead. Just stay the fuck away from me.
What room are you staying in?
726.
Relax. We'll get you to your room soon. For now, I need you to stay back with me until this area is safe.
And who's going to keep it safe for my wife?
Sir, I understand your concern, but you're going to have to remain calm.
This is bullshit.
Listen, you don't have much of a choice. You're either with me or with him.
Okay, everyone, we're going in. You keep an eye on him. Have him stick to you like fucking glue. Scene.
And end scene. Well done, well done. This is a good place to start. If anyone hasn't guessed...
I felt that Time's performance was a lackluster. I thought JC gave minimum effort, but I was cooking.
I'm sorry. It's early in the morning. It's not the juiciest. It's not the juiciest character in the world.
Your problem. Your problem is to make it juicy.
My man Rama, I love you, but there's other assets to you that isn't the
Talk about
isn't the dialogue in that scene. But it's a good scene to set him up, I think. If you haven't guessed already, we are talking about The Raid, directed by Gareth Evans. This film was chosen by Pragpro. Can you give us a little spill, Pragpro, on why you picked this for this week?
The Raid is my favorite martial arts film of all time. This was a movie that came out at a time when you couldn't... There was a period of time where Blockbuster ended and Netflix picked up. I grew up in San Jose where Netflix is headquartered, so most of the early adoption of Netflix was in that town. So I got early, addicted essentially to Netflix, which is an amazing thing. I mean, we were shocked that you could be trusted with mailing your DVDs through the mail, right? Because Blockbuster used to charge like $6 a video rental, and you had to have it back the next day. And so it was an insane system, and they really broke it up. But at that point, you could start to get international movies and films that weren't available or you would never hear about otherwise from a system like Netflix. And when this movie came out, you had access to it. And I was just, blown away at the majesty of this. It's a British director. He's part Indonesian, I believe, but it's all Indonesian cast. And set in Indonesia, and that's what makes it a different vibe than most martial arts films. Is you never really see characters and the places of Indonesia in film, and I think that it was interesting.
Yeah, and this film kind of came out I think at this point in time in Hollywood there was kind of a lull in action. Filmmaking, especially in Hollywood, you look at films like the Taken sequels, and you had films like The Bourne Identity, which broke through in the budget, 2000s, right? But but as soon as we got to the 2010s, there was kind of like a lull that allowed films like The Raid to just show up on people's radar and go, wow, you can actually shoot action like this. Holy moly.
It's a low budget film, which was an amazing thing. Time.
And there was a big gap between, in the 90s and 80s, the martial arts films you saw from like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, etc. There was a big gap between that and a film like this that came out in the 2010s. And this made a huge splash when it came out. Like it was, a lot of people considered it revolutionary filmmaking, I think, when it dropped. So, Time, coming into this, what did you know about The Raid? Had you heard of it, etc.?
That's interesting that what Prague said earlier about the whole like Netflix and Blockbuster thing, because I remember hearing about this movie when it came out and just being talked about constantly, but then just having that thought of where the hell do I watch it? you
Mm-hmm.
know, not knowing where to get it. So it's always been one of those movies where I'm like, I've heard it's good. I've heard it's a banger of a movie. You know, you want to see some cool action, you watch it. Um, but again, it also fits into that category of I just never got around to watching it. So I was pretty excited
Yeah.
that I finally actually get to sit down and watch, you know, something that's been so highly
Hmm.
regarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
And
similar for me too, because I remember when it came out, every single reviewer that I, followed at the time,
Mhm.
I was a big YouTube film reviewer follower. Watched, Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns. I don't really like watch them much these days, but back in the day, every film reviewer talked about The Raid when it came out. And I had no, I was a kid, I didn't know anything about piracy or like we didn't have streaming services over
hmm
here that
right.
much. So I had no way of watching it. I only heard about the raid and heard about how amazing it was, but never got around to watching it until a lot later. So that's where I came from it, but I've watched it at least 20 times now.
Okay.
Just because of when I finally watched it, I got it,
Mm.
when it
It's
dropped.
interesting because the director is he's a stunt director. That's where he
Mm,
got his his beak wet essentially at first,
mm,
but he really pulled off a really tight narrative. I think in this film, he got Mike
mm,
Shinoda to do the soundtrack, which was a
mm-hmm.
big lift for him. It's an all EDM soundtrack, and the
Yeah.
at the end and the beginning, you really see there's some really cool tracks, and just the vibe. It reminded me a lot in some ways of Resident Evil two, right? The police station scene because
Mm,
they're kind of trapped in this big building, right? But they're still breaking off into little scenes. The other police officers and the gangsters, and I love that you're in this grimy, dangerous environment, but there's also it could have just been a straight action movie with no plot at
mm,
all, and I think they really did a great job with the plot too.
mm,
There's I forgot to mention there's actually two things that I thought the movie was, and it
mm.
didn't. One of them you guys are gonna have to clear up for me. The other one I don't think that's what it happened. But when the dearly departed Flame asked me what
You can't say that.
what the movie was about,
What do you mean the
I was like,
dearly
it's
departed?
cops that just like have to go bust somebody and they fight their way up a
Mm,
skyscraper, which kind of not what it is.
Hmm.
It obviously turns into
sort
something
of.
differently. Yeah, it's like it kind of seems like
Yeah.
that, but it doesn't. It's not that at all. But the other
Hmm.
thing I
Mm,
thought for the longest time, and I need you guys to explain this to me, is the the main actor. Is he the writer
mm.
and director and everything?
No,
No.
Oh,
No,
is it,
no.
okay. For
fight
some reason,
you.
I was under that
No.
assumption that he did everything.
No,
No, no,
Gareth
no,
Okay.
Evans.
no. Iko Uwais, the main actor, is just he's an incredible martial artist.
Okay. Okay.
He's like him, the Mad Dog, the actor of the Mad Dog,
Those two
and
guys are
the
phenomenal
yeah,
martial artists.
yeah, and the
Mm.
The
main cop.
choreography.
They're all like seasoned martial artists in Pinchak Salat, I think it's
Hmm.
called. I don't think when they started. I mean, Iko Uwais was in Gareth Evans' first film, Moranto, but they're
Hmm.
not like trained actors. They're trained martial artists. Like that's their whole
Mm.
They're
thing.
stuntmen, essentially,
Yeah,
right?
they're stuntmen
It's like a
basically. Yeah,
stuntman
exactly.
revolution. The stunt director and all the stuntmen made a fucking banger of a movie together.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, but yeah, the director is from England. He's British,
He's
Oh,
and he.
okay.
Indonesian British. He has a Indonesian middle name if you see the ends of the title,
Yeah,
but I don't
I
know
didn't
to what
read about that,
extent.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know
I
that.
mean,
I didn't know
or
that.
maybe that's a nickname or something. But it was interesting because I always just thought he was a white British guy. But he had
Yeah,
an interesting middle name on the closing section of the title. And I don't know. I have to look more into it.
I'm not sure how he got involved with this or how he became friends with
Hmm.
Ico and the gang. But it seemed whatever happened, like they made magic with this. I think whatever the story is, I'd love to see like a behind the scenes of the raid and how it came to be.
I would
And
love how there's that refrigerator scene, right? Because
Oh
essentially they're
yeah.
making a raid, and then everything breaks down real quick, and like
yeah,
80% of the team gets wiped out because it's a fully cam recorded building, CCTV, and
mm,
they're killing people on the way up, and they're stealthily going through, but then one kid slips through. And they shoot him right at the last second before he tells another kid, and they get him. But then he hits the buzzer, and they just fucking destroy all the cops except
mm,
for the three or four guys. And
Yeah.
they get trapped in the building, and at one point, there's no way out. And he takes he takes the propane tank from under the stove,
From under the
jams
sink,
it in the refrigerator, gets the other guy to spin, and they do this all within 45 seconds. And it shows you that he's obviously a superhero that is working with his brain capacity more than his. He's an amazing.
Yeah, he was desperate. He just thought of something on the fly and thought, well, maybe this will work.
And then he punches a hole through the floor with the axe at one point.
Yeah.
That's an amazing scene too, right?
Yeah. That's the same scene, isn't it?
I think so, right? And
then he just immediately grabs the axe. He's he's stepping on the floorboards trying to find the part that's the most hollow, and then he just straight away. And I love the guy once he finishes with the hole. The guy jumps down, and then 3 dudes just.
Yeah, right.
Just tackle him. Yeah, it's great.
Wait,
and just so visceral.
The guy with the axe breaking the thing isn't the main character. It's a different guy.
No, the guy that broke the floor was the main character.
No, it wasn't.
That was Rama.
Wasn't. It wasn't.
Rama
100%. It was Rama.
Generally, does all the heroism in this. We'll have to review the film time. I can't really.
I know. There's 2 times that floors get broken by an axe. I'm pretty sure the first time it was Rama. The second time it might not have been.
I'm talking about the first time, and I'm pretty sure that's when we realized Rama is a cool customer.
Because Rama's smart. He's the one that notices that the floor is hollow at that point.
Right, because he's a secret motive for being on the raid. Do we want to talk about that since this movie's very old?
Well, yes. We could talk about that.
Talk about it.
Basically, the whole what sets up the whole thing is that he's there to get someone. Like he's talking to his dad at the start. He's got a pregnant wife at home.
I love the opening. The opening montage when he's doing his praying, workout, and that's just classic action movie stuff.
Yeah. And he talks to his dad. He's like, I will bring him home. And you're like, who's he talking about? And then you find out later, surprise, surprise, it's one of the gangsters that runs under the head honcho at the building, is his brother, right? And you find out this pretty early on, but basically his brother pulls him aside and he's like, what are you doing here? What are you doing? And he's basically like, I'm here to get you. And he's like, I don't need help. It's that sort of clash. Like
it's like a Cain and Abel kind of. I mean, it's like one kid is a good, perfect kid, and the other one, he becomes like an accountant. He's like the brains of the operation, and the other henchman is just a wild, mad dog. He's the boss battle at the end, right? Where both of them have to team up, and there's like multiple stages against him, and he's fighting with a light in his neck at one point. They're just smashing him head against the wall, and it's just amazing how the speed in which they pull off those fight choreography scenes. It's amazing. They really hurt themselves doing it.
I don't know if it was like how much was improv and how much was like planned out from the start. There's obviously moments that was planned out, like that moment when Rama's fighting in the hallway and he just like. I'm not going to use wrestling terms because I don't know them, but he basically just jumps backwards and slams his head onto the broken wood.
On the door frame.
But he holds that guy's neck like this, and then he falls back. And when he falls back, he pushes up and basically severs his spine. Rama falls back, and he just it's just really cool. And like he's throwing himself out of windows. He's like trying to get away from these guys, and there's an amazing scene where he's holed up in one of the residences that he helped in the original scene that we read. The Gofar character who's bringing medicine to his wife, they bring him up and they get him somewhere sorted, and eventually they need him, and so he's hiding them in a little crawl space, and he's guys cooking the wall with a machete, and it gets him right here. And he's smart enough to put his glove on it, so when he pulls it back, it wipes the blood off. So he
genius.
I was like, the dude's gonna see the blood. How is he gonna mask that? But then he puts his hand up, and I was like, oh shit.
He's clever. Yeah. It's genius.
There's a million scenes like this in this movie, and it's something you should see multiple times because it's so fast. The fight scenes and stuff.
Well, I feel like this film is hard to talk about at length because we're basically just going to be like, oh, you remember this part? Oh, do you remember this part when he does this? Oh, do you remember this part where he fights this and he does this? It's like, it's one of those movies that just hits you fast and fast, and it's not a lot of dialogue. It's basically just letting the action speak for itself. but it's
There is a
just the
lot of
way that it's
dialogue though,
shot
because
is incredible.
he's meeting up with his brother in a scene,
Hmm.
right? A couple scenes, and then they're
Hmm.
dealing with why was this raid called? Because everyone's a
Mm.
little confused, and it turns out that the old dog, the lieutenant or whatever, the white hair guy, he's
Yeah.
got a
Mm.
nefarious. He wants to take over the tower for himself, and they told him, quote unquote, if you go in there and take him out, then you'll have that. It's essentially a drug dealing kingpin style tower.
Mm.
And so the whole mood, they're just trying to get to one another. But the lieutenant is a coward during most of the movie, and he's hiding most of the time while everyone else is
Mm.
fighting and dying. And I think there's a lot of allegories to the problems in Indonesia. There's a lot of
Corruption. Yeah.
in the military and the police and stuff. And I think they want to talk about that in a way that's not overtly political. And it's
Yeah.
just people. No one's surprised that there's a corrupt cop involved, at that
Yeah.
level.
He does get his time to shine though. He does get his action beat towards the end in the meth lab scene where he gets to actually start smacking people up. So he's not a complete chump, but he's
Yeah.
obviously more cowardly than the rest in the group because
got
he's the
cynical
one that
motivations,
organized
yeah.
it.
I think corrupt cops get a bad rap a lot of times because we always focus on them, but we're never focusing on the rat that's in the gangs. The one that's like Rama's brother. He was.
But when he kills the two goons that they send with him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
we
obviously
don't talk about them enough.
He's obviously not completely evil, but he's betraying the brotherhood that he's supposed to be in, much like the corrupt cops are. So I think there's two sides to this.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
at the end, he elects to stay in the tower, which is strange, right?
Yeah, it's
the
not just
line
strange,
he says
but
though is a banger line at the end.
It's like it just fits, right?
Remind me.
That's what he says. Yeah.
Fits. Yeah, because he
Yeah.
believes this is what he's good at, and because he's good
Believes
at
this
it,
is his
he's
life,
his
yeah.
dream, and if he goes home, they're never going to respect him anyway because
He
they're
says something
already
like,
mad.
he's like, "Why am I going to stay here? It's the same reason you wear that uniform. It just fits." And I was like, "Damn."
Is there an allegory to a better tomorrow? Do you think? I mean, they're better tomorrow
yeah,
plays
sort
with
of.
some of the plots because there's a gangster and there's a cop brother, and one's going straight, and the other, and then there's the conflict between. I wonder if that's a classic theme.
How much of that though is just like recency bias? The amount, like you've just seen it recently,
Probably
because we were making connections. We were making connections with Better Tomorrow to Heat as well.
Absolutely. And I'm going to connect Heat to Pirates of the Caribbean in 3 movies. It's just like
But
Tron,
I will
basically.
say
This is essentially the same plot to Tron.
it's the same movie. They basically copied each other. But I will say this movie did lead to a really good remake called Dread. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
Is that a remake, supposedly?
Well,
Judge Dredd?
Judge
Dredd.
Dredd.
I love
Carl Urban?
I was almost going to pick Dredd this week. Carl Urban.
I was going to say, it's not an
movie.
exact remake, but you can tell just
Same vibes.
like
That's what
same
I've heard,
vibes. I feel like the plot is extremely similar.
It's also Escape from New York. It's also Escape from New York and all of those
Die
John
Hard.
Carpenter movies. It's just a very classic tale of you're going in deep. It's one of those shows like you're put into prison. You have to get out of the prison. It's like a get in deep and then escape movie.
Yeah,
right.
But it is like I feel like Dredd does have a lot of specific similarities. Like it's one building. There's a head honcho at the top, right?
Absolutely.
And controls all the residents in the building. There's a rookie and a head cop. They head in. All right. They kind of have different ways of dealing with things. The head honcho at the top of the building tells all the residents of the threat, and so basically everyone in the building is against the cops, and it's pretty much a very similar plot, but I think they both do very different things with the action and different things visually. Like the raid is very.
Can I ask you guys a question? There's a person in the chat that says my microphone is too quiet. Now, is that true?
I didn't think it was that quiet, but yeah, turn it up a little bit.
I mean, I can hear you, but yeah, it is quiet.
Yeah.
Well, then let's fix that, guys. You gotta
it's
tell
quieter
me
than Times.
All right. How about that?
Is mine
How's
quiet?
that? Is that good?
Better. No, yours is good, Tom.
Oh,
How about that? Is that good?
Yeah,
that's better. That's better.
That's better.
Lance, is that
All
good
right,
for
let's
you?
keep going.
No.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Come back. It's too loud.
Now, We're at 50 decibels. That's the mic gain right now. So just so
You're
everyone
good.
knows.
You're good. You sound
All
good.
right. Okay. Cool.
You sound good. Quality. Time. The fight scenes in this film. Were you impressed?
There's okay, so
What?
you guys are gonna have to
I almost
answer
threw
this
up in my
question
own
also for me.
mouth.
How about you shut up? Let me talk. So there's
Okay.
gonna be an you guys know this. There's a filming style that I've noticed happens a lot. I think it's more modern, so I don't know if it started here, but it's where some crazy action is happening in the foreground, and in the background it looks almost CGI, kind of like it's kind of like rotoscoped. Kind of, it happened a couple
Yeah.
times at the beginning when they first started fighting, but then it stopped after that. So it's
Mm.
kind of like, do you guys know what I'm talking about or
The
no?
refrigerator scene has
I
that rotoscope effect. They
No, it
probably
wasn't.
use
Oh, it might have been that. It might have been that.
they
But
use some
it was,
sort of
it was before that.
CGI, some sort of combo practical. Early
Yeah,
2011. It was 2011, so it probably didn't look that great.
I want to say it was
I
something
didn't
like
notice
where
that at
he was
all.
smashing the floorboards, and then something like a door, or something exploded behind him, and it just looked really weird. But
Oh,
I
okay.
hate I hate that thing. That happens all the time. It's really jarring. It's really
Well, they don't want to
weird.
kill the actors with explosions, so they used
I mean, you
animation.
either do it
Yeah.
right or you don't do it at all. So there's that.
Okay.
They got a small budget. You got to do the
I
whole
mean, this
film.
they
yeah,
made this for
no.
like 30 grand, bro.
It shows. So I was just wondering if you guys knew what that was. Or what it
No,
was called, or whatever. But
No.
yeah,
I didn't even notice it. But
yeah,
I'm
it's like
gonna
every time I
look
see
for
it,
it
I'm
next
just like, it
time.
looks weird, but it just, I guess it hasn't
Yeah.
been perfected yet.
Okay.
But yeah, the fight scenes are pretty crazy. Aside from that, it was pretty good. My one main critique on a lot of fighting scenes is the quick cuts, because I don't think you get
Okay.
to see the 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 fluidity of the fights, and the punches landing. It doesn't connect. Like if I go to punch you, and then right at the moment of connecting, it cuts
Cool.
to like the punch already
Yeah.
landing. That's not
Well,
that's
this is
not
what they
fluid.
do.
I.
They play a game with the sound, right? So when they're play fighting, obviously they're not touching one another
They're
at
not
all,
actually
and then
like
they use
hitting
all
each
that
other hard.
sound
Yeah.
effects, and they probably fuck with the film speed a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, and the problem they probably have is the stamina required to do those long scenes. They probably have to chunk it up a little bit, because
Yeah.
look at how exhausting that must be.
Right.
These guys
Well,
are dancing
I was
off
saying
the walls.
I don't like when movies do that.
Yeah.
This movie didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They
Yeah,
actually
yeah. I
showed
felt
the
like
actual
this
connections.
movie.
There wasn't a lot of cuts. There were here and there, but it wasn't. It didn't mess up the flow of the fights. You know, like when you see it
Yeah.
when you would see someone fight someone one on one. You know, for the 2 or 3 seconds that it lasts. You know, 'cause he's fighting 20 guys. You saw that full fight. You know, it was like it was
You fully.
boom,
It's
boom, boom.
fully framed
Yeah,
up.
yeah. You
Yeah.
see him, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
done. On to the next guy. Cut to the next guy. Cut to the next guy. But you were getting these little
Yeah.
full mini fights, and I really like that. There weren't the cuts that I cannot stand. It looked really good.
Yeah.
like-
Absolutely.
Each character had their own style of martial
Mm-hmm.
arts. You know, they weren't
That
just
too,
like
yeah.
copy paste. They weren't all trying to do Bruce Lee. You know, they have their own, very own. You could tell that they were real martial artists that had a real passion, and obviously they probably trained together or whatever. But like that boss battle was insane at the end, right?
At the end, yeah.
When they're fighting
Yeah.
two against one, the two brothers
Two
are
against
fighting
one.
the Mad Dog. I mean, it was on for quite a long time.
The one thing that I liked, and it's such a small thing, and it's like not even like one of the best things in there, but I just loved it because I was like, oh shit, that's such a cool thing to do. Is right when they go down to the first drop, when they start dropping down, the first drop, they're like, you know, looking around, they're like, oh shit, whatever. They start shooting up in the top, whatever, and guys start coming down. I think a couple guys had already come down and they got into a fight, and then another guy comes down, and as he's coming down, someone looks up and he just starts running right away. And then as the guy drops down, he fucking spears him and pushes him out the window. So as he's falling down, he gets out like this, like halfway. His body just gets thrown back and just pushes him out.
There's so many crazy scenes like that.
Holy
Just little weird.
Yeah. And the
That was
fact that they
crazy.
pulled it all off, like
Yeah.
in camera, is crazy.
It looks
like,
that looks so good. Like it was like
Yeah,
it was such a 2-second scene, but you can see the thought process like, oh shit, and he just starts running.
How about when he uses the other guy to fall on and drops like 3 stories onto a fire
Oh,
escape
yeah.
and
Yes,
uses the other guy's
that's right.
body to cushion, and then he rolls
Yeah.
on. They start sniping at him. I think the sniper scene was sick too. And then he busts through a window.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Well, I will say though, you said he falls like 5 stories, right? And I
whatever it
remember
is.
watching it. It looks like he falls 5 stories, but
probably
he
not that
gets
far.
out, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's some continuity stuff because he enters that room before he jumps out the window, and it's the 7th floor. There's like the number 7 on the doors,
Right.
and then when he comes out, there's 6s on the doors. So apparently, he only fell
One.
one story, but he looks like he
that's a
falls
long
5.
way, bro. When you're falling, that's
Yeah.
a one story.
But like visually, we see him falling, and you can tell he falls further than one story. But obviously, for
movie magic, right? Movie
for
magic.
the story of the movie, yeah,
Make
it's
it
just
fun.
something you don't have to notice. Yeah, there is a few little things that I noticed like that, but it doesn't like detract from the movie or anything. It's
There's
just
one
like
scene
funny things
where
I noticed.
They flip one of the bad guys like over a stairwell, and then he lands like in the
And he lands
mid-back.
on his back.
And it's like a dummy that they obviously used to do it, but it looks so good, and it's like and they crunch, and it's all about the sound effects and fighting scenes. I think that's what sells everything.
Yeah.
It makes it visceral. I mean, you could
There was
feel some of the things they were doing, like the throat punches and stuff.
There was that one scene too at the beginning where they get found out and they start getting shot at, where they're kind of like on that little second level, and they have the guys above them just shooting down at them, and they return fire. And one dude that gets shot, he has like amazing hair. I think it's like kind of like a flowing whatever. He gets shot like in the heart, and he just falls back, and then he's like, ah. It's like, dude, you guys found the chest.
Like they're smashing your head against concrete, and you're still fighting. It's like if you can hit my head one time. I mean, anybody.
Well, yeah, the big fight at the end when he has the thing in his neck, he's still going, and then he's getting attacked and just smashing the dude's head into the ground. And I'm like,
it's almost like video games at that point.
How are any of you doing
video
this?
game rules?
How are you taking
video
this?
game rules.
Yeah. I do want to talk about that. You were just talking about how it doesn't cut during the fight scenes, like it doesn't cut before the punch lands and stuff.
Right.
I think, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. I think the reason that this film hit so hard is at the time in cinema, we basically had just a slew of movies, like action films that would do that, and I think it was Bourne. I call it the Bourne effect because I think it came after the Bourne Identity, the Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne Ultimatum. They were huge hits, and a lot of the action in those films, like a lot of people give them a lot of credit, but obviously the action is very shaky, and there's a lot of cutting in those films. I think those films are still really well made. I still think those films are really well done. I think when they cut at the right times, I think Paul Greengrass is a really good director and he knows when to do it. But
it was
after
cool for
that,
a couple movies.
Yeah, but then after that, you get a lot of action cinema taking the wrong lessons from those films. Like, I mean, I've mentioned them already. You talk about like Taken 2, Taken 3, like that director, Olivier Megaton. Can't stand his movies.
It's like the Krav Maga fighting, right? You're like doing Krav Maga, real close quarters, like hand, like John Wick does that stuff too, but he's doing more like hand, he's firing his gun more and stuff.
His is gun fu, and his movies are framed up well. But you see it with like the Michael Bay films, with Transformers. They're always doing that quick cutting, annoying shit. The Transporter movies, all of those films, and then
example.
And then this film like comes out of nowhere and shows you how it's done. Like,
because it was janky.
That's why
they found,
Yeah, and that's why this film made a huge splash, and I think it influenced a lot of action cinema from then on. I think John Wick was heavily inspired by the way that this film is edited and cut and shot, because I think John Wick is very well framed up. And I mean, we talk about Mad Max Fury Road. I think like a lot of the action scenes in that film, and you talk about the speeding up the footage as well. They do that in Mad Max Fury Road, which was obviously a huge action touchstone. I think The Raid really did influence a lot going forward after it dropped, because before then we were just getting really poor Bourne Identity ripoff.
Now, have you seen his third film, Apostle? It's a Netflix movie.
I was going to mention Apostle,
What a great movie that is. That's nothing like this.
By the same director?
It's a period piece.
Same director, Gareth Evans.
Same director. It's called Apostle. And it's like an eldritch horror kind of like vibe.
Yeah, it's like
a period piece.
Folk horror.
It's almost like The Village in Resident Evil terms, if you want to think about that. it's like a missionary and he goes to explore a village and see what's happening up there.
It
And it
is
gets weird.
grimy. It gets weird. It's grimy. It's dirty. But it's very it's a full period piece, and it's completely
Mhm.
different to the Raid. It's slow moving. It's
Very
methodical
slow.
and
And then, but when
very
it gets
slow.
scary, like there's a scene
It's
when he's in a maze under a building and it's all water, and then there's like something chasing him, but
yeah,
slowly. That's a fucking
yeah,
scary, really
and it's a
scary thing.
and it's all centered on Dan Stevens' performance. Like his
Yeah.
performance is what anchors that film. And I think it really shows the breadth of Gareth Evans. Like you can tell that it's kind of like when you like he's not just an action director, right? It's kind of like when you talk about painters and they make some really weird abstract art, and people are like, are they actually good? And then you see them like paint a
Right.
like they draw a perfect bird or something,
He
and then
took
you
a
realize, oh, so it's intentional, right?
After that, he made a TV show you can get it in America on AMC called
Gangs of
Gangs of
London, yeah.
London. I haven't seen it, but it's
I
on
haven't
my
seen it
list.
either.
I guess you haven't.
It's
I haven't
I
seen
don't
it.
know why
I've
I haven't
heard it's
seen
really
it.
good.
I've
Yeah.
started that show maybe 4 or 5 times, and I just get distracted
Oh,
and
it's one of those
everything. But I'm
shows.
gonna have to.
You started.
It's
You
one of
can't
those
finish
shows,
it.
but it's really good though. It's a lot of
Yeah.
action stuff. It's all gangster stuff, stuff I
Mm,
love. So I'm gonna
yeah.
make sure. And then he's making a film with Tom Hardy that's still in
Called
production
Havoc.
called Havoc, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna be
Yeah.
a big one. Obviously,
I
that's
hope
gonna
it's
be.
good.
I mean, obviously they're spending a pretty penny on it, and we'll see.
Mm,
People want to see the Raid 3, but
He
yeah.
wrote
But
VHS
Apostle,
too.
he no, not wrote. He directed.
Oh, it
Because
says
VHS.
he wrote it.
Yeah, so VHS, those movies are basically like anthology films. So a
Oh,
bunch of
okay,
directors come in and make. So Gareth Evans directed and wrote
One little
one
part. Okay.
segment of
Mhm.
VHS too. Yeah.
Those movies any good?
Which
I
one?
haven't seen them.
VHS.
Which one?
VHS. Yeah,
VHS?
Yeah.
yeah,
Is that it's like short films
yeah.
collected,
They're
and
short
they're all
horror
shot on
films.
VHS? I feel like I saw
That's
the
right.
first one and I was
Mhm.
not bowled over, and I thought it was
Okay.
Yeah.
more of like a gimmicky vibe,
Mm,
which they do all the time on Netflix. You're gonna see like they have a Super 8 collection. They have, because people are very much into retro horror. It seems like as soon as we get into 2011, 2015, people are really into like the
yeah,
horror that comes from the cell phone and the camera, and that's an influence of Japanese horror and stuff like inanimate objects having spirits in them, like
yeah.
Shintoism and stuff like that.
So I think also what's great about this film, like really taking off, is it lets it lets a lot of directors that were around Gareth Evans' bubble also take a stab at making big films, because there's another Indonesian film director called Timo Targento, and he made a film, an action film called The Devil. Let me just Timo Targento. He made a film called The Devil. I want to get it
Wears
right.
Prada.
Yeah, the
The
Devil
Devil
Wears
Wears
Prada.
Prada.
I
Sorry.
love that movie.
No,
Anne
no,
I
Hathaway
love that movie.
and Robert De Niro is a thriller.
Stanley Tucci was in it.
Bali. They
Wow.
all work for
Okay.
Bali's #1 fashion house, but there's a problem. There's kung fu in the rec room.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
No. So the movie's called "The May the Devil Take You," and there's another film. The one that I've seen is "The Night Comes for Us." So "The Night Comes for Us" is another martial arts action film. It stars Iko Uwais from this film, and it has someone else in it as well that was in this film. I can't remember, but that is that's an action film that's not as quick as The Raid, but it's a lot more visceral in its violence. Like
Now,
every cut you feel, and it's obviously without this film, you wouldn't get that showing up. Like I think it was a Netflix film, you wouldn't get that showing up on Netflix. You probably wouldn't get the film at all. But the fact that he worked with Gareth Evans on this film opened up a bigger arena to play with, and films, for us to enjoy, basically, like action films like this. I just wanted to mention that that film as well, which was heavily inspired by The Raid and probably wouldn't exist without The Raid. The Night Comes for Us, if anyone
He made a film in
has seen
2016
it.
called Headshot that's supposed to be one of the best Indonesian films of all time, too.
So
I haven't seen that. Yeah.
if this movie inspired a bunch of other movies, what inspired this movie? Do you guys know?
Oh, I mean, it all
That's
starts with Bruce Lee and
Bruce
Chinese
Lee, Jackie
Connection,
Chan. Yeah.
right?
To me, what this feels like is basically a director saw those Jackie Chan films, Bruce Lee films, and stuff. Like those films are really good. The choreography is incredible in them, but I feel like what this film did differently is it included like actual violence. Like people get stabbed in this movie.
Oh,
People
yeah.
get
Shot in the head
in this movie. Yeah.
On screen.
Yeah, you don't really see that in you don't really see that in close quarters combat films in like Jackie Chan films, and like you'd obviously see them using
John Woo.
weapons.
I mean, I think John Woo's involved in this as inspiration too, because of his underworld and gunplay stuff, right?
Well, yeah, John Woo's all about that violence, the visceral violence. It's almost like a combination of the two in a way.
And it's okay as long as there's gangsters involved, right? In Asian cinema, it seems like you can have as much violence as you want because they're all bad guys anyway, and this is what they do. So it's almost like how we do westerns in the U.S. for a long time. That's where the violence was permitted mostly. Yeah.
Like when I first watched this film, I felt like I shouldn't be allowed to watch it. You know what I mean? Like the fact that people in these fight scenes just quickly get stabbed like that.
Oh yeah. I thought they were gonna show the claw hammer, right? Because there's a scene where the main bad guy has lined everyone up. And then he runs out of bullets at the end. He's like, hold this. He puts it on his shoulder like a parrot. It's really cute. It's very funny. They all have a laugh.
Really cute.
Then he goes in the drawer and he sees the bullets and he says, wait, I have an idea. Let's make this cute. And he takes the claw hammer and he says, oops, I didn't bring the bullets. And then he just fucking cooks this guy. But they don't show the last thing, but they show everything else.
Yeah.
But you feel it. Right?
You feel it. Absolutely.
That bad guy. What a great actor, the main bad guy, right?
He was great. Yeah, he did a really good job. Just some unknown. He obviously isn't good at martial arts or anything, but he's a dramatic actor. He doesn't need it. He's just he's a dramatic actor that works with the cast that he's got, right? The people around him, and he's imposing in these scenes. I really felt like he was the boss of the building. I don't know if Time agrees. He was shaking his head then. But
no,
that's how I felt.
Turns out Gareth Evans is Welsh.
Okay.
Gareth Evans
is he Welsh?
100% Welsh. He grew up in a Welsh mining town. His middle name is Hua. I guess that's a Welsh name.
Huey.
Yeah, but I just also can we just talk about the Mad Dog for a second? Like,
yeah.
I remember we were watching it, and there's that scene where the main cop guy, Jacka, he's got the knife and he's holding it towards him, and the Mad Dog is pointing a gun at him. And my brother's like, why doesn't he just shoot him?
That's what I said.
I watched it with my brother.
Well far away from him.
Yeah, it's like, why doesn't he just shoot him? He's just holding a knife. And then slowly he gets him to get up. Like the scene plays out very slowly. He gets him up. He's still pointing the gun at him. He closes the door. I think one of my parents was like, oh, maybe he's also, like maybe he's an
inside man.
Maybe he's an inside man. And then he, slowly he walks around. He puts the gun on the table and he's just like, basically, I like to fight with my hands.
Yeah.
Like that's his whole thing. He just likes to fight. And he just likes a challenge, and he just hates bullets. He hates shooting. I think it reminded me of the Dark Knight, right? When he's like, I don't do you want to know why I use a knife? Guns are too quick. You can't savor those emotions, right?
He's the baddest motherfucker in this movie because it takes Rama and his brother to beat him. He's more powerful than anybody in that building. He's just
even then, if they didn't like smack him against that light, and that light fell down, they would have been cooked. Like, yeah, they won by
they had him down at one point. They were holding his neck, and then one guy's on his legs, You know,
Yeah.
two guys are holding him down, and he I don't know, he breaks side position, and he he does jujitsu, and
to be
he
fair,
jujitsu himself.
he was the most fresh of the three of them.
Yeah, he just
He had a good lunch,
He'd
Yeah.
beaten the,
well
he just-
rested,
He had taken a little break, taking a nap a little bit,
well hydrated.
Yeah,
drinks
yeah.
water
He
all
was-
day.
Yeah.
He loves
he,
it.
he had just been beating the shit out of the brother for like an
That's
hour.
all I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, you got to stay training when you're living in a drug-infested warlord building, and you have to do martial arts to protect the building at any time. You have to stay in shape. So they
Yeah,
must spend
yeah.
many hours doing all kinds of,
So if we're talking about
and
how
stuff.
much work he had to do in that movie, he beat the main cop, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that's his one exercise that he had, and then he was just beating the shit out of the brother in the room. Meanwhile, Rama, he had to take out like 6 dudes at once,
Mhm.
and then again had to take out like 6 dudes at once,
Mhm.
and then again had to take out like 6
he was
dudes
fresh.
at once. He-
Yeah, and the other guy was been
Like-
hanging from a chain for like an hour and a
Yeah.
half. So I'm surprised he could even swing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
That
It's
whole
amazing.
scene too, where like he lets him go and he just stares at him and he's just retracting the chain back out, was so just uncomfortable. I was like, what is he doing?
yeah.
But
And I like he lets him
Making
go and
love to
hug
him
his
with his
brother,
eyes.
like they're
No,
they're
yeah.
holding each other,
Uh,
and then afterwards he just pushes him aside. He's like, no,
yeah,
all right, you ready?
yeah.
And they're both like, And he-
There's something that I wanted to bring up because I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, he's got his notepad.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing on that.
Okay.
It's it was that scene where they're like, oh, they tell the top guys like, hey, we got a lot of dead people out there, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's a lot of rent not being paid, or whatever he said,
Mhm,
and then and then I just imagine in my head he's like, okay, so to live here it's going to be $20 a day, food and water, you got to do that. Let's see, trash is
Yeah.
taken care of, energy, we got that,
cable.
free
We got the
cable,
cable
that's right,
sorted.
yeah,
We
HBO's
split
good.
the cable 400 ways.
I think we're good. Let's see what else we got here. You got to package cocaine and defend the place in case we get attacked. I think that's
Yeah.
it. I honestly
I mean,
think
that's
that's
a lot of
it.
rent.
You go
It's
ahead
like
and
the
sign here.
governor from
he's
The Walking
budgeting
Dead.
each of the people up. It's like, how many people can we lose without breaking even?
You
What
have
was the
to
last
understand
part?
this
What was the last
building-
part? Packing cocaine and defending the building. What was the last part? No, you're good. Just sign it. Just sign it.
Just sign it.
I'm sorry, Brad. What were you
They
saying?
should
Yeah.
have understood that there was a corruption and they were never going to let that building be policed, because why would that building still be there? The Indonesian military would have been sent, and if you were imagine if you were occupying a skyscraper in the United States,
Oh
they
yeah.
would blow up the building.
But that's
They would just
different
level
from
the
there.
building.
There's
They
a thing
just
called
can't
like
allow
Waco. We saw how that played
that.
out.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're just fucking. That's it. You're going to cook everybody. You're going to
Come and
cook
take care of
everybody.
that real quick.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
just a
going to mess.
completely different.
I'm not going to go I'm not going to go door to door in your crazy drug building with other kung fu guys. I'm just going to fucking send a drone. I'll send a tomahawk
Yeah.
in there.
Well, that's how desperate they'd be over there in Indonesia with the cartel.
It's all money, though,
Yeah,
He's
it's
paying
all
the
money.
police chief. Essentially,
Yeah.
at the end of the show, they're like, I know who to pay and how much to pay him,
Mhm.
and they're never going to let you.
He had that
you
whole
know,
like what the
on
hard
this
drive
level.
or whatever it was, and he's like, these are all the people that are getting paid off. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, that was his insurance. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He just had all of them under his belt.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
As great as this movie is, the adventure continues in the Raid 2.
The Raid
I'm not
2
gonna-
Electric Boogaloo. Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about the Raid 2 because
No.
we're not here to review that. But if you like this, I recommend watching them together, because
Now-
then it becomes almost like a TV series.
I've
because
heard
it
the
goes
Raid 2
way bigger.
is a musical. Is that true?
Yes, it's a musical.
Thought so.
It's
It
oh
stars
yeah.
Anne
Everyone's
Hathaway
singing.
and
Oh,
Robert
wow.
De Niro.
Oh wow.
Anne Hathaway's in it. Robert De Niro reprising the role from
They really
Devil
whitewashed the cast. Let's go.
Devil Wears Prada 2. Devil Wears Prada 2. The Raid. The Raid 2 opens up the whole universe.
Yeah,
So it's
and
not
it,
just
like,
the
it's
buildings,
a
but all
huge expansion.
Is it the same
Huge.
characters?
It's the same
There's a
character.
lot
It
of
stars
them.
Rama.
Yeah, it's like
Obviously, the Mad
yeah.
Dog's dead. The main cop's dead. The
It's really
brother's
good.
in it.
Okay.
It's really good.
It's Rama and the brother are in it.
Is there
but-
two of them, or is there more than that?
Two
What
movies?
do you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
the
two
Raid.
movies.
There's
I thought
only
more
two.
than that. Okay.
No, there's only two.
They've been talking about the Raid 3, but I mean that's mostly.
I don't
like
think they
fan-
need to. The Raid 2 basically like concludes
Yeah, I don't
Rama's
think they're
story.
interested in doing it again. There's a huge wiki for the Raid. I noticed when I was doing research for this. There's a huge fandom page and stuff, so it's interesting to read.
Is there a
about.
huge.
prequel to the Raid or no?
No.
There's only 3 movies he made. He made The Raid, The Raid 2. He made that first
and
film,
Apostle,
the JC. Apostle, and then
Morento.
Havoc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And Havoc's coming out, yeah.
So
But
it's
like,
like 4
they could have
movies.
been another director, like Timo Targento could have come in and made The Raid 3, but he ended up making The Night Comes for Us. But I will say The Raid 2, I think the decision at the end of this film to have the brother not not join his brother and his family, I think pays off, and you'll see why. Pays off in the second film because it has a lot of ramifications for
I don't
his
want to get
character.
spoiled, but is the Raid 2, does it take place at the same building or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's like, we're
That would
going
be
back.
bad.
We're
That
going
would be
back.
They have
No,
to go to the
no,
basement. They
Yeah,
land on a
you
helicopter,
go
and
down
they
now.
go down.
Oh, they never
Raid
suspect.
3.
They never look down.
They never
Yeah.
saw it.
I'm gonna
They
make
never
Raid
saw it.
3. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
Raid 3. Don't worry about
You
it.
will make the Raid 3.
That's going to be hard to
I'll
pull
make-
off.
I don't
That's going to be
believe
really
it.
hard to pull off.
So they said I couldn't make Titanic.
Who
And
said
we
that?
did it.
They said
all
you
said it.
shouldn't. They said you
said
shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Not
That
couldn't.
Garfield
You
doesn't make any
shouldn't.
sense. How is Garfield and Titanic? It
I think
works.
Garfield was the only thing that made sense in that movie.
Probably. Listen, if you like that, get ready for Breakfast Club 2 coming this Thursday.
Channel 9 presents the Raid 3.
A Channel
I'm looking
9
forward to
joint.
it.
Yeah.
JC, I'll do it. I'm crazy enough to do it.
I believe you.
He's gonna
I'll
skip
believe you.
Raid 3 and go to Raid 4.
If
You
it
reckon?
makes you
care.
laugh, it makes
Don't
you
care.
happy, I might do it. You know,
Lance did do that fight scene, right? That boxing
Who?
fight scene.
Oh yeah,
Lance.
that terrible
Yeah,
boxing
yeah.
fight scene. Yes.
The terrible boxing fight scene. Do you think he'd be up to doing the Raid 3? He'd be.
I thought that scene was better than I thought it was going to be. That
Yeah.
boxing bit that
Hey,
he did.
really?
It was. I mean,
I thought it
what
was
he
better
should've
than I
done-
thought it would
He is
be.
not a
It wasn't
physical
look
actor.
nice.
He's
I was-
not a physical at
I'm not
all.
saying it was good. It was just better than I thought it would be. You know what I'm saying?
He's just hunched over like this the entire time.
yeah, but he's fit at least. You know,
I
sometimes,
mean, that's the only thing he has going for him.
no, he doesn't know how to box. That's true.
And then he has
He's doing
the yeah.
No, he's dropping his guard on it. You know, when he punches, he's dropping this right, and he's going to get cooked right here.
And then it has
You gotta be up here,
the
Lance. You see what
the
I'm saying?
generic
You gotta
Irish
here.
music playing in the background.
The music.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that was
just a
racist.
rip-off.
That's
of,
racist.
So racist. I'm
It's just a
Irish.
rip-off of Sherlock. I say it every time.
Yeah.
It was
When
just
I
shot
see
that Sherlock
Lucky
Holmes scene.
Charms, when I see that fucking flogging Molly and all,
That's what it
it's
is,
just
flogging Molly, yeah.
offensive. We're not
Flogging
all
Molly.
degenerate alcoholic boxers.
I mean, you're not
all-
not that.
so
either.
good.
We're not all that. Some of us are corrupt politicians. Some of us are cops. And some of us just work at a bar. And that's
Yeah.
basically where we work. So it's no problem.
Yeah,
no
the Rocky Road to
problem.
Dublin as well. They always play that song.
And I'm supposed to, when I see Lucky
don't make
Charms,
Pag
what am I
laugh like
supposed to do? When I see Lucky Charms in the supermarket, what am I supposed to get excited? Oh,
Am I not
great.
supposed to grab him? Am I not
This
supposed
is-
to grab him?
This is what I look like. This is what you look like to me. It's just like an elf with like red hair, and you have to grab him, and then I give you gold if you grab me. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Don't grab
Have
me.
you? By the way, Ty, have you seen Star Wars: The Force Awakens? I know you have, surely.
Which one? Is that?
Which one's that one?
The newest
reboot.
of the Disney trilogy. The
first
not the
reboot?
newest. The
1,
the
2, 3,
first of
4. Is it
the
7?
first of the
Seven?
yeah, 7.
Yeah,
the
I
first
have
of the
seen, yeah.
Disney trilogy.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
I like that
so
one.
So the scene. Do you remember the scene where Han is talking to Conjure Club, right?
Who?
Culture Club?
Conjure Club.
I heard Culture Club too.
No,
Who's Conjure
Conjure
Club?
Club. Conjure Club.
How'd you
Um,
Goo Goo?
So
How'd you
Who's,
Goo Goo?
what character was that?
hold
Yeah, I
on,
remember
hold
that
on,
one.
hold
That
on.
was a good
So
scene.
do
Boy George was amazing in Star Wars.
Yeah.
do you remember the scene where he opens the cells of the big creatures that he's holding and they just start eating everyone? Like when we first meet Han in that film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
I'm talking about
Yeah,
that.
they're in that hallway scene. Ray and that are like hiding under the floorboards, and
Yeah.
Han is like talking to. So there's the British side, and he's like, there's the British dude who's like, Han's like, I never made a deal with Conjure Club, and then the British dude is like. Well, tell that to Conjure Club, and then the door on the other side opens, and then there's the Asian dudes that walk in.
Mhm.
Those guys are the dudes from this movie.
Let's go.
Oh, okay.
Rama,
Yeah,
Rama,
Oh shit.
the Mad Dog, and Jucka are all in that scene. Because J.J. Abrams was a huge fan of the Raid, so he had the he had the role of this like conjure club in the film, and he just cast him in it
JC,
for like.
I didn't
Oh,
know
I
where
see
the
it.
fuck you
Okay,
were
I
going.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love where you took me on that little trip. I didn't know where we were going.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? What is he talking about?
I knew Time would have seen Star Wars. I was just seeing if he
What is that?
remembered those
what kind of thing is
guys.
this? More time.
Well, okay,
You know,
so
I'm sorry.
at the time, I'm like, I don't know who these people are. You know, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
but
so
yeah,
now-
but now seeing him like, oh shit.
It
the
is
Raid.
those guys. Yeah, it's the Raid guys. Yeah, so
That's
now
fucking
when
funny.
you watch that film, I don't know if you're ever going to watch the film again, but
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
I actually liked the Force Awakens. For me, was essentially a remake of A New Hope.
of A New Hope. Yeah,
It's like
it
blatant
is.
remake, but it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was not bad.
And then
yeah.
it just went fucking downhill from there.
Oh god, the second
that
movie
I
was so
disagree with.
bad.
Now I
Downhill.
disagree with that. This
Downhill.
time,
The second
this
movie
time,
was so bad.
we're not
Yeah,
talking about that
bad.
one time. All right.
The third
We're
movie
not
was
talking about that.
mid.
Catch
but
us, catch us on
hate the
Wednesday,
third
a
movie.
very special Three Grandmas where we watch all of Star
Alright.
Wars live.
I'll have a special
One day.
episode to talk about that. I don't get, I'm
I
willing
have
to
a
be here.
The Star
I
Wars
am
Christmas
willing-
special.
We should go
Alright,
through
next-
each movie.
Trust
Yeah.
me, next May, I will do the
Next
the
May.
Next
I'm
May.
dead, JC.
Yeah, May the 3rd.
I don't think I'm going to make it to next May.
Everybody talking about Star Wars now, so let's do it next May.
Next May, yes.
What are you,
Yes.
Lance?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I don't
God.
want to do The Last
There he
Jedi.
is.
I don't want to do The Last Jedi now, but I will.
It's-
I
Okay.
will pick
It's
that
a
as my
side story.
film one day.
It's a side story.
I love The Last Jedi.
What's your favorite
But
Star Wars
we
movie?
went-
One last
Empire.
thing.
Empire Strikes Back.
Correct. That's the
Yeah.
correct answer. Next.
What time's going to say Revenge of the Sith?
Attack of the
Oh.
Clones.
Which one?
Really? That's the
No.
worst one?
No,
No, Rise of Skywalker is the
No,
worst.
What did
Empire is
you say?
the second one, right? Or the
Yeah,
fifth
second
one,
one.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the
that
fifth one, yeah.
that one. Yeah.
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 Good job.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Everyone
awesome.
agrees.
Although
Everyone agrees.
Jedi's pretty damn good though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Last
the
Jedi? Yeah, I agree.
The Ewoks,
Yeah.
it's too much cutie shit.
Yeah, I
but
agree with
and
Last
I,
Jedi.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I love the beginning of it though.
The Ewoks are awesome. I love the Ewoks.
I mean,
You guys think I'm talking about Return of the Jedi?
welcome to the Raid 3, Return
We
of the
didn't even-
Jedi, starring
Wait,
Anne
wait,
Hathaway.
what did you say? I didn't hear what you said. I was
Robert
yelling at
De
Craig.
Niro.
What did you say?
No, you said Jedi? Yeah, Jedi's pretty good. I said The Last Jedi.
Oh,
Yeah,
I hear that.
it's
God
so
damn
good.
it. No, Return of the Jedi. Return.
Yeah.
That's right, Star Wars heads. You've come to the right podcast because what we do here is we compare every movie ever
Mm-hmm.
made to Star Wars in some way, and by the end, we're going to connect them.
I love that I somehow brought the Raid to Star Wars. I do.
I
but,
think-
I mean,
I
thought
think
you
that-
were on
that-
drugs
that
for a minute. I didn't know where
Someone
you were
should
going.
go back in time and take all the fight scenes from the Acolyte and translate them to the Raid.
I
And
didn't
the
see
Raid
the
would be
Acolyte.
better. The Raid would be better.
The Acolyte's garbage. I heard.
the
That's what I've
Acolyte
heard.
was
That's what
not
I've heard,
good,
yeah.
I'm not
No,
even-
I've watched it. It's not good.
That's what I've
Oh,
heard.
that
Yeah.
Obi-Wan
There's like
Kenobi
one
show
good
was so
episode.
bad. I hate
Yeah.
that. They
I've
made
heard
that
all the shows have been
show.
bad except for
Andor.
Andor's
Andor's
the
yeah.
only good
Andor
one. Yeah.
bangs. I love Andor. I
The
can't wait for
first
that to
season of
come
The
back.
Mandalorian.
Rogue One
pretty
was
solid.
a fantastic
Right.
movie. I don't know why you get shit.
I
I'm
like
not a
Rogue
fan of
One.
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One's great.
What?
I'm not a fan of Rogue One.
Chat.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Rogue One's a great movie.
We'll talk about it one day. We'll
I've
talk
heard,
about
I've heard
it one
Solo's
day.
a good movie. Is that or actually I've heard it's a bad
Solo's okay. I think it's
Okay.
okay.
Solo's all right. I mean, it's
I
Yeah,
watch
I
it,
think it's
yeah.
okay. It's pretty mid, but it's okay.
It's got
I-
Donald
what
Glover.
were,
Yeah.
what
I
were
like
we here
Donald
for
Glover.
anyway? The Raid?
We're talking about the Raid.
So we're talking about
There's
Mary
not even-
Poppins, okay?
There's no lightsabers in the
Poppins
Raid.
Returns.
Now I want to see some lightsaber action.
Oh yeah.
Imagine if we took the Raid and we just added lightsabers to every scene so that just holding lightsabers and
So,
every
instead of the
fight scene,
machetes,
it's
yeah.
just
Surely someone does that. Surely
did it.
someone does that.
Speaking of-
Just get
speaking of-
Gareth Evans director.
Speaking of lightsabers, the chaotic Nicky Preg, the chaoticness of that hallway scene where he's fighting
Yeah.
everyone that has a fucking machete.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know, like the first guy swings
And he's
he
blocking
knocks
them?
and he kicks the machete down the hallway.
Does he
personally.
has arm guards on, right? And that's why he can block
Has
them.
to,
Because I was
yeah.
like, yeah.
Well, no, he's stopping their hand like halfway like that too.
When I
Is
see a
he? 'Cause
machete,
Yeah.
I don't even want to fight anymore. I'm sorry. I have
Take
to go
me.
home.
Just
I
take
think
me
my
here.
wife is
Take
calling
me.
me. I have to go.
Whoa.
I don't want to be a policeman anymore.
This isn't where I parked my car.
They
Yeah,
use
and that's-
machetes over there so much, though. It's,
Yeah.
you might just get killed by a machete over there.
Dude, and that scene where, like, we were talking about it earlier, where it slices his, his
Yeah.
cheek, and he
Neck.
just has to sit there with the knife in his cheek.
Oh yeah.
I'm
He's
like,
like,
I was just sitting there like, oh,
He's
and he
sitting there
slowly
just
pulls
like-
it back out.
And he's
Stoic.
holding the other guy.
yeah, well, he's holding the other guy's mouth. The other guy's like,
The guy's ear got blown off, and he got like a big burn, and this guy's still screaming and writhing. He's like holding him. Rama's my hero. I mean, I feel very
man.
safe with Rama. I really wish he was a Western super. I want more
He
Rama
hasn't
movies.
translated over to the West, right?
Unfortunately,
people
no.
love the Raid and the Raid
Besides the
2.
Force Awakens,
Right.
The Raid and the Raid 2.
Yeah.
Let's
I know
bring
he's
him out
been
here. Let's get him on Channel 9 and see if we can resurrect his career. I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Resurrect his career.
I was going to say him versus Lance.
I'll put him in Breakfast Club too. I'll put him in Breakfast Club
Just
too.
have him recreate that scene, the boxing scene.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be
Beats the shit out of Lance.
Yeah, unfortunately, Iko he's kind of been in a bunch of like really like some trash stuff.
Did you say Echo the Dolphin? What are you saying?
Iko. No, his name is Iko Uwais. That's his name.
Time goes to waste.
Iko Uwais. That's his name. I know he was in that Snake Eyes G.I. Joe movie as well.
By the fire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Snake Eyes.
And he was in the Expendables 4, which is obviously
everyone's seen that.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a collaboration of all the action stars, and I'm glad that Iko got the recognition to be in that film.
Is he still working in Indonesia? Bet he's put out some bangers.
Well, the last Indonesian film, like martial arts film he did, is the film I was talking about, The Night Comes for Us, which I highly recommend if you want to see more Iko Uwais action. But otherwise, there's a fight scene in that film.
So well from the Raid and Raid 2 that they gave him
that
a good royalties that he can just live great, and that's what I
mean, I don't want to assume anything, but maybe he's like a god over there, you know?
Oh, I know he is a god over there. I guarantee you he does all right over there. He's probably a huge star over there.
Yeah.
Raid 2, Mile 22, Stuber.
But the Mad Dog, Yaya Ruhian, Yayan Ruhian, he was in John Wick 3. He was was one of the dudes in that movie, yeah.
He reminds me of somebody, but I can't place it.
Wu Assassins, it was the last show he did on Netflix. It's a television series on Netflix, and it's a supernatural show based on Kung Fu and Chinatown. I don't know, bro. It sounds sketchy. I think that might be a Marvel tie-in of some regard.
So yeah, John Wick Chapter 3 had two Indonesian actors in it. They're one of the, like, you don't find out their names or anything, they're nameless, but I remember seeing their faces in the movie because the other Indonesian dude is one of the guys in the Raid 2, which you'll see soon.
You can't just say, there's just a bunch of Indonesians over here.
No.
So those
They're the
people,
guys from the Raid.
let's talk about those people for a minute.
Okay, Cecep Arif Rahman.
I'm not offended.
I am. I'm very offended.
But like, if you get time to see, if you get time to see the Raid 2, there's another guy in that film who plays I think he plays a cop in the film, or he's just an assassin. But there's a kitchen.
That's
fight
another
scene
brown
in
guy
that
to you,
film.
right? They're all the same to you, right? If one
wow,
has
JC, wow!
I didn't say that. I said his name. His name is Cecep Arif Rahman. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'm joking, chat.
Anyway, there's a kitchen fight scene in that film that is fucking incredible.
Okay,
so
I gotta see it.
Look out for it. The Raid 2. No, I'm talking about the Raid 2.
Oh, the Raid 2?
The Raid 2.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
I think that pretty much wraps up. Have we got any questions in chat?
Yeah, we got a bunch of creeps in chat. I don't know if they have any questions. Let me see. One of them's supposed to be a film director, but he probably hasn't seen his...
I didn't change the Twitch title.
Sure
it
didn't.
Still says Tangerine.
No one's ever going to watch this. We're going to have to... listen, when we get uploaded to YouTube, it's going to
it'll be fine. It's going to be fine.
I think Cinderella looks weird in this movie, okay? This one...
I just think
crazy.
You mean Cindy? Cindy?
They took Tangerine and mashed it up with the Raid to make Tangerine Raid 3. It's one of the most beautiful, exciting, emotional journeys of the heart you will ever experience.
They teach the transgender actresses like pinchak salat. They train them in the martial arts.
It's transaction.
Yeah, they're just going through Santa Monica Boulevard doing kung fu the whole time. You know,
that'd be great.
Just running down the streets.
I'm gonna make that.
Dude, you're cooking.
And it's all filmed on an iPhone 3.
JC, all I make is bangers. All I do is
You're
bang
cooking
all
with
week,
that,
and then
brothers.
on Thursdays,
Don't say that.
my baby
Don't
gets
say that.
born, and Time is the mother.
Don't say that.
Timegoestowaste is the mother.
You made it worse.
Because I'm the one who's banging, and he's the one who's receiving.
That's
and
right.
That's beautiful.
I'm carrying. I'm with child constantly.
It's a dirty script, but it's a child anyway.
Someone has to do it. Yeah.
Love you.
Prag.
Don't say it after you say it.
I love you. I love you. I don't care. I'm not afraid.
I want the world to know.
Prag.
Nambies, I love you too. I'm sorry I yelled at you. I
Why'd
got in
you
a
yell
fight
at
with
Nambies?
Nambies
Oh my god!
because I was telling people
This is off stream. It's
a
off stream.
very
thing.
important
Stop getting
thing,
mad
and then
at
I got
Austrian
it, and then I just
This is getting
I'm
personal.
sorry, Nambies.
This is getting
It's okay.
personal.
It's okay, JC. We do that here.
Pragpro, would you recommend the
No.
raid?
Yes.
I hate no.
You can't make the same joke every time.
No, because it's
You
too
can't make the
violent.
same. You gotta cook
It's
different.
crazy.
No, I can
I-
because I'm gonna spin it a different way.
I'd show this to kids. I'd show this to
Whoa!
5-year-olds.
How old?
No
For
way.
sure.
How old do the kids have to be before they can see the claw hammer scene?
Well,
16.
my brother is 13, so
Oh,
and
that's
he
perfect
saw
age
it.
for this.
Yeah.
Listen,
No,
I would
no way.
watch this a million times when I was 13. It brings me back to Rambo, First Blood, and all those movies that were popping in the early '85. That's when I was a little kid. All those B canon films, movies, like First Blood and Bloodsport and the Jean-Claude Van Dammes and all this stuff. But this is a much refined, almost an alternative rock version of what was pop metal back then.
What would you rate it, Prag?
I would give this a 90. It's
Flat.
a 90.
That's like
It sounded like you were at another 90.
I was going to add more.
90.
And then I'm like, do we go that high? I don't know if we can go. I think this is
Well,
definitely one of my top action movies of all time.
all time, yeah.
And I think
I
if
agree.
you love action and if you love Die Hard and anything close to that,
If you love
have
Jackie
any
Chan.
testosterone or if you just like
I
watching
love
this
Bruce
stuff,
Lee.
if you love MMA, if you love anything like that, you're inspired by martial arts. It's a
Yeah, I'd
beautiful
give this a
movie.
90 as well. I gave it pretty much the same score as you. I think it's brilliant.
Okay.
Just really self-contained. I think the sequel reaches a little further than this one, but I do think this is brilliant. What do you reckon, Tom? How are you feeling?
Oh, God. Very good.
I give this a 70. I
70?
think the
All right, that's good for you. That's
I
good.
think
That's good.
the action did a lot of the heavy lifting for the story that I
Yeah.
felt was non-existent.
I mean,
Did you
yeah.
feel the same way about Mad Max Fury Road?
I honestly can't even answer that. I don't remember that.
I mean,
honestly.
Oh, okay.
I like the movie visually and stuff like that. I just don't remember I'd have to
Yeah.
watch it again essentially.
I was
First
just
time
curious.
I
I
saw
was
this,
just
the
curious
plot
if you'd
is
say
a
the
little
same thing.
naughty. This plot is a little naughty.
Mm-hmm.
As not as in naughty by nature, but as in like a rope is
No,
naughty.
definitely naughty by nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely both. Both
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Anne Hathaway, Robert De Niro,
Oh god.
starring in Tangerine the
But
Waste.
yes, 70, and I would recommend this movie.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
right.
it was good.
Yeah, I'm glad.
It was a fun watch.
I'm glad you liked it, Tom.
It was
I'm
fun.
glad
It's
you
one of
liked
those
it. It was a fun
popcorn
watch.
movies. You can watch it with your buddies, and
It's
I
it,
can
don't
watch
have
it
to-
anytime, any day.
it definitely fits into the same thing where I talked about Tron when we watched it, where I said I could just turn it on and just turn my brain off and just
Yes.
watch it. Like
Yeah.
that.
and
yeah.
many you can, if you really want to invest time in the plot and stuff, you could watch it for that. But if it's just on and your boys are hanging out, it's a great thing just to have
Oh,
on
yeah.
TV because it's just like we used to throw
It's
John Wick
visceral,
movies on.
yeah.
It's visceral. It's always something cool to see. It's flashy.
Now, the Raid 2, on the other hand, is an hour longer. So, and that's
That's
a
a
lot
great
more
movie.
involved. Yeah.
There's bigger scenes. They go to different locations. I don't
That's
want
a
to
film
spoil
you
it
really
for
got
you.
to sit down for.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
recommend that too. If you like this in any part, or if you didn't like the story so much in the Raid 1, I think they do a better job with the plot
Do they? Okay.
and all that
In the Raid
stuff,
2,
and it's
yeah.
just bigger, and you see all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
both
I'd
free-
recommend it as well.
free
yeah.
on Pluto. If you guys don't want to pay for
both of them
Paramount
are?
Plus,
Some
you don't want to pay for
random
Paramount
streaming
Plus.
I've
But
never
in the
heard
United
of.
States, if you want to watch this, Raid and Raid 1 are on Pluto for free. You have to watch a little commercial, maybe. Or you can get Paramount Plus and watch them. And it's the
Cool.
same. And CBS owns both of them.
All right, Tom, what weird film have you picked for next week? I know you're a real esoteric film watcher,
He's a real
so I want to hear what you're going for.
Artsy fartsy is what I call it.
We are watching, since it's Pride Month, we are watching a Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, God. Shout out Miss Piggy. Call me.
Let's go.
Call
You
me.
switched it at the
Call
last
me.
minute. You switched it at the last
No,
minute.
so
work you.
I was watching I don't know what the hell I was watching some bunch of stuff on YouTube, and a bunch of trailers kept coming up. I don't remember what the hell I was watching, but I don't get trailers, so I don't understand why they're popping up. But there's a bunch of different ones, a couple of A24 whenever movies, and this one came up, and I'd seen it, and I was like, what the hell is this? So I'm watching it, and it's like, oh, it was at the Sundance Film Festival and all this shit, and I'm like, oh, okay, that we just talked about that recently.
Liberal bullshit, right?
Yeah, liberal bullshit. Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, all right, whatever. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what is this? It had a lot of the stuff that I like: wrestling, Mexican culture, gay men, and Bad Bunny. So I was like, let's go. This is right in our wheelhouse.
This is right, perfect for you.
So I'm good.
Sounds like Lance directed this. That's everything
Yeah,
he loves.
100%. So it's called Cassandro, and it is about a homosexual amateur wrestler from El Paso, Texas, who rises to international stardom when he creates the character Cassandro. And it is a real story, yes.
Wow.
Real
okay.
wrestler.
Where can I find this in the U.S.? Is it streaming anywhere, or do I have to
it is
pay
on
the
Prime
small
Video.
$3.50? Prime Video? That's perfect.
Video,
I can
yes.
do
Let's
that.
see if I can get it in
I love
Australia.
Amazon Prime. JC, you can't get anything in Australia. You're going to have to read the book.
Yeah, I can get it on Prime. I can get it on Prime.
Perfect.
Why don't you just read the Morse code teletype or whatever, transcription or something in Kangarooville?
But yeah, the trailer looks super interesting. And yeah, it just I like wrestling. I'm obviously in love with Mexican culture because I'm Mexican myself. So to kind of see something like this,
Sounds
and
erotic.
It seems like it's gotten pretty good, reviews and some of that.
Yeah?
Sure. So, and again, I know the wrestler that it's based off of. So,
I hope there's a big love scene or something.
I think there is a trailer.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like it might be.
I'm here for
it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that was mixed together, and I was like, okay, well, this is cool. So,
let the wrestlers love one another. I mean, come on, what's the problem? Who cares? It's not my business.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm
looking
forward to it. I've never heard of it before.
Neither have I. Yeah, I was like, this is the first time.
Is it too early to talk about our next guest? Is going to be Angry Scar 09 after that? Our next
that's in 2 weeks.
It's too early.
It is too early, but. We're going to
tease a little bit. Angry Scar
tease a little bit.
July. We're not
going to say anything. Hey, you stop. It's your boss. You can't be. This is nepotism. This is nepotism.
I'm unbossed. I'm like Shirley Chisholm. I'm unbossed, unbought. You can't touch me. You can't touch me.
So you have Scar. Wait, is this the last time we're doing the format? We're switching to the new format now.
What is the new format?
The 2 weeks, right? Every other week.
What?
No,
what are you talking about?
No,
another week.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You're canceling half my episode?
It's what you wanted. What do you mean? This is what you fucking pushed for.
What are you talking about?
Every other week we have a guest on there. Yeah.
Right. I thought you were saying we're going to tape every other week.
No.
Yeah. This is when we added more guests, essentially. So we're going to be mixing in a lot more guests.
But it doesn't start on Scar, right? It starts after that, or
did you ever book anyone for? You were trying to book someone for October. Did
October,
you book them?
yeah. You got them?
Still working on it. Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Okay, cool.
It's literally October. No, I don't want
Janifest. Did you know I got Janifest?
I don't want that.
Yeah, well, don't worry because she only answers my DMs.
I'll be off that week. That's fine.
Cool.
Take a week off.
He's coming on channel. She's coming on channel 9. I wouldn't bring him to meet you guys first.
That's great.
We're gonna have to.
I want her on the podcast.
That's fantastic. I don't. That's fantastic.
I want her on the podcast.
Nope.
You're never gonna meet her, Time.
Nope. I don't want to meet her.
Never gonna meet Janny.
I don't.
It's all your fault, Time. I want to meet her.
Great. I don't want to.
You're ruining it for me.
Great.
You're ruining it for me. All right, thank you everyone for listening to the Three Grandmas podcast.
No,
this
it's
has
not
been
goodbye.
a great.
Bad bye.
This has been a great time. I've enjoyed talking about the raid with my friends Pragpro and Time. Where can they find you, Pragpro?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Whoa, shit.
No.
I'm on
Twitter. Old reference.
Don't say old. It's an evergreen. It's fun. It's funny.
I'm a little baby. You're a big old
it's evergreen.
boy.
That's what I say.
It is evergreen.
When I like to be,
He's right. He's right.
All right. I'm on Twitch. Pragpro. Pragpro. I'm on Twitter /X, whatever they're calling it this week. I'm on channel 9 all the time. I'm on 25 hours a week on various channels. And if you go to Angry Scar 09's Discord, you can find out when and where or mine. And that's about it.
Where can they find you, Time?
You can find me at Timegoestowaste. I stream video games. I don't know what my next video game is, but I will be streaming something at some point. I also appear on the... I'm adjacent to Channel 9. But my scheduled appearances are ending after Breakfast Club 2. I will no longer be on there after that.
He doesn't want to directly associate with Channel 9.
Yeah. It's like
No problem. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
I'll make that
that's
easy
it. That's
for
it.
you.
That's it. I'm good. I'm good.
All right. And you can find me at.
Okay, it's a joke. You're so edgy.
Yeah.
You can find me at CallMeMrJC. I don't really stream, but you can find me in chat of these guys' channels and Lance's channel. I have a YouTube channel called Cooksland Tales. You can find my short films and my video essays there. And that's about it. I look forward to seeing you guys next week for Cassandra.
You'll never see me
Great
again.
job.
Bye.
Bye
This
bye.
is the last
Big
time
bye.
you're going to see
El
me again.
Oxy. Bye, El Oxy.
I'm going to make a
WXC.
Bye,
podcast
Oxy.
with
Bye,
Jennifer.
bye, bye.
WXC.
Spoopy Cat.